Rock and roll. Connor, give us a countdown. This is going to be fun, guys.
3.
Best hobby in the world.
I guess. 3, 2, 1.
This is the What's Neat This Week, show number 69, broadcasting live from the bluff in the living room here in front of a nice warm fireplace on this cold night. And tonight I got Austin Allard, Joshua Barton, Mike Budde, and Jeff Meyer and Connor with us. And tonight we're going to talk about the best hobby in the world. The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you. Additional support is provided by Athearn Trains. Check out all their new monthly announcements at athearn.com. And by Bachman Trains. Now that's the way to run a railroad. Check out their website at bachmantrains.com. Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast. Rock and roll. Thank you, Connor. This is show number 69, the What's Neat This Week show for March 16th, 2019. I'm your host, Ken Patterson, the host of the What's Neat show at Model Road Hobbyist Magazine. And tonight I got my regular podcast crew here. I've got Joshua Barton, Sugar Fire.
What up, everybody?
I love it when I get to say that. Jeff Meyer over here on the end with Connor. We love you, Connor. We love watching you grow up on the show right in front of us, brother. I've got Mike Budde, who's going to be here talking about a lot of beautiful auto racks on the coffee table tonight. That's right. We're sitting up in front of the fireplace, a whole new location to show that the portable location, in fact, does work. And I've got right behind me Austin Allard. And the reason Austin's here is because my buddy Austin's been running camera for years already on the show. But now he's been out and about in Colorado with us, and he's got a lot of great stories to tell about our adventure out there, don't you, Austin?
Absolutely.
So this is going to be great. Mike, it looks like you brought a lot of auto racks with you tonight, and everybody loves it when you talk about cars. Last week, you were quite a hit talking with, all them and the incredible models you brought last week, Mike.
Well, those 56 Chevys.
Talk straight into the microphone.
Okay. Those 56
Thank
Chevy.
you. You're going to save me hours of editing. Go ahead.
Yeah, those Sylvan scale models, 56 Chevys I brought last week. I finally got up the nerve to start cutting one up to make it into a Nomad, and I cast the roof of an Ally Forms 55 Chevy Nomad, and the roof was a perfect fit for the Sylvan scale Bel Air. So I put some pictures on your Facebook thing. Maybe you can show the B-roll of that. And then another thing I wanted to talk about was that 59 Chevy Impala. Somebody asked a couple weeks ago about that car and when it was released and everything, and that's a one-off model by none other than Ken Patterson. It's the Alloy Forms 59 Chevy Impala convertible that had a convertible top on it, and Ken ground off the top and then hand-formed a brass roof for that.
Wow.
I'm dropping in photos while you're
Yeah.
talking about it because it was you, Mike, that made me discover that I could take a couple of pieces of brass wire and a whole bunch of super glue and, quite frankly, sand the super glue as if it was epoxy and create the hard top.
Yeah.
And it made for a whole nother model from the convertible model to
Right.
this model that I used in the Midwest Valley Modeler shot, crossing the Rock Island crossing shot, and so many other photographs from Mainline Modeler to show how cars are so important to the model railroad part of what we do.
Right. Well, especially for a car nut like me. But
Right.
those 4 auto racks, the reason I brought those are the first ones that I built as an adult modeler back in my early 20s. Those were built probably in 1979, maybe 1980. But back then, those Tyco Camaros and AMXs were the only American cars you could get in quantity and cheaply to load auto racks, and they're nicely proportioned. So I spent a lot of time painting the Camaros all different factory colors and sanding the spoilers and the hood vents off some of them and putting rally sport stripes and Z28 stripes. But that was before I'd finally decided to settle on an era of 1978. So anyway, these things just spend most of the time in the box. But they were built on Athearn 85-foot flat cars. These were built long before there was ever any 89-foot car commercially available, like from Walters and Atlas. Everybody's brought out 89-foot flats now, but back in the day, 85-footers was the only thing we had to work with. So that Penn Central car is built on a Quality Craft wood flat car that again is only 85 feet long, but those Camaros fit really nicely on those 85-foot racks. One more thing I did was there's a couple Corvettes on that one rack there, and they are representing 1967 because that was the last body style for that Corvette, and then the Camaros were the first ones. 1967 was the first year for those, so that's one rack that 67s are, and then the rest of them are 68s. But
it's funny. It's really cool how you can take the same car and not two of them look the same.
Yeah.
Every single one looks different in some way.
Yeah, I even got convertible tops on some of them that I did. But yeah, I wanted to make them all a variety because that was one of the biggest thrills for me when I was a kid was seeing those open auto racks and the new cars before they came to the showroom. You could see what they looked like on the trains and the wild colors back when in like late 60s, early 70s when Chrysler Corporation had those wild colors. Then American Motors followed with the plum wild and big bag green and everything. Those auto wrecks were so colorful and so exciting for me to see, and so I got hooked at an early age on cars and trains, and so
I really wish our auto racks today would show a little preview of the new cars coming out.
Right. Yeah, it could never happen in today's world.
But the fact is, I have so much more appreciation after looking at your models, Mike.
Yeah.
And every week you've talked about something that's absolutely interesting but so different all at the same time.
Well, I do like cars, and I mean, I could go on about those Camaros that, Norwood, Ohio, or Van Nuys, California, where they were made, and, what racks usually hauled them and stuff, but I don't know. We got other things to talk about.
It's absolutely fantastic. Jeff Meyer, you're here with your beautiful son, Connor. We've had so much fun in the last few weeks doing shows before we just got back from Colorado. Guys, tell me, Jeff, what do you got on your agenda to talk about tonight?
We brought a couple cars, but mostly the decals. These have been out for a while. Connor, can you hold this for me, maybe? But I got to hold it up to my mouth. But Smokebox Graphics, and I forget who the guy is. I need to figure out his name and where he's at.
Smokebox Graphics.
Smokebox Graphics. They've been out front. And I meant to email him and tell him we were going to talk about him, but he does these FRA reflective stripes that are basically on. By 2019, they got it. They're supposed to be on basically every single car. They came out in 2005. So if you're from 2005 up to today, you need to start putting these on your cars. But they're pretty neat. This set, if you can see, it's 3 different colors. I guess the way maybe the manufacturers or how they fade and weather. But these ones are actually 3M, the real like Scotch-Lite. You peel off and apply them to your car. Mm-hmm. These are the Waterslide decals. These actually come in 4. I remember when I worked on the KCS seeing some of the white ones. You don't see them all that much anymore. You mostly see it's all yellow. But these are some of the cars that we did. I did the Waterslide on this tank car so they wouldn't show up because the sticker ones, there is a little bit of thickness to them, but I was actually surprised, and this is sealed in dull coat. I was a little surprised that it wasn't as thick as I thought it was going to be, but these are actually the sticker ones, and I put them on the exterior posts so maybe they wouldn't stick out as bad on the tank car. But like I said, I need to get around and figure out who this guy is because he does some really nice models and other decals too. So whoever you are at Smokebox, we need to find out your name. Where's he at? He is up north. Let's see here. Reese, Michigan. So, but like I said, these have actually been out for a while, but if you're a modern or contemporary modeler, you definitely got to get these. And I was very pleased with them, how they turned out.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Now, Joshua, you've been killing it down there at Sugar Fire. You guys had the Monster Truck Jam, and you had Garth Brooks down there. And when you've got a concert 1 block away from your restaurant that's got Garth Brooks in it, you're bound to break some records. So tell me, the boys aren't proud of you this week.
We did break some records this last weekend with Garth Brooks and the Home and Garden Show and Missouri Valley Conference in town, and a line out the door, down the street, and around the corner all weekend. So I thought I'd have this weekend to recoup, but now we have another volleyball tournament with 23,000 people here in town. So, there's no rest for the wicked. But yeah, it's been real fun. And in fact, I have a little B-roll footage of people going into Garth Brooks, and then the time lapse of them coming out.
Yeah,
so
I saw that on Facebook. It was crazy, just the herd of people going in.
Yeah, that's,
and then it's like
that's a gentleman by the name of Kirk who lives in our building.
Really?
And he lives with a perfect view right to the dome. So we'll have already ran that video footage for you to see by the time this point in the show.
That's awesome.
Yeah, not very much time for me to work with any models. So hopefully I'll be able to get back in the swing of things here soon.
I finally got my Bachman catalog that we've been talking about on the show that we shot photos of. It's one thing to shoot the photo and experience it in the backyard, but it's another whole thing to actually hold it in your hand. And there she is. That's a 1/2 inch, almost 3/4 of an inch of paper. Tons of Bachman product catalog stuff to be seen in the 2019 catalog. And what they sent us this month to show off on the show for this week's show is a track cleaner car. And this is a Riverside Fresh Milk freight car in HO scale with a track cleaning pad underneath it. But what's really neat about this freight car in HO scale is this is the same freight car that they also make in 120.3 scale and large scale. For the large scale guys out there, same paint scheme, and they also make it in the 3-rail Williams line of freight cars as this refrigerator car. Again, the Riverside Fresh Milk car. It's really neat that Bachman has got the diversity of scales to make the same beautiful paint scheme in multiple different scales for us to enjoy in the hobby. So we want to thank Bachman very much for that. This large scale car, quite honestly, is going to look gorgeous in the backyard.
It is pretty neat.
I cannot wait to run this one outside. And I got to tell you what, something else we got going on tonight, and that is Austin Allard. I can't wait to talk about your experience in Colorado last week. Something I mentioned to you was possibly going into the trip, your ideas about the hobby might change after the trip is over. And after 6 days of hanging out in a vehicle with me, the manufacturers, the people we all work with, I think that might be true. Tell us about your experience in Colorado, Austin.
Well, we started out first by going to Greeley and seeing their museum, which is pretty cool. It's quite a lot to take in at once, especially seeing there's 283,000 volunteer hours put into it. It's trying to figure out, hey, how can I get this at my house? But I just don't think something like that's going to be possible. We went to Caboose, got to play around the Caboose, and I remember walking in, and the first thing Kevin said to me in that Caboose was, I'm thinking about repainting this to the Allard Terminal Association. I'm like, how much do I owe you? So that was really fun.
That was neat.
The staff at Caboose is absolutely incredible. Nicest people in the world.
Yes.
Made us feel at home. The train show, 11,000 people.
Is that what the total was? Did you
Yeah,
hear a number?
11,000 people.
11,000 people at the Rocky Mountain Train Show.
And we don't have anything like that in St. Louis that draws 11,000 people, and it was just chaos. I mean, there were 25 layouts, 800 tables of trains for sale. It was really, really cool. Michelle took us around and introduced us to a lot of people that she knew and a lot of people that she deals with, and obviously we did the show there. That was pretty neat.
It was a fantastic show. That idea came along at Monday night, a week before the show. Maybe it was a week and a half. We were sitting down here. We just had recorded the last podcast where Michelle Kempema was in town. We went to the Transportation Museum and made all those rounds. But upon editing video that Monday evening about 1:45 in the night, it came to the conclusion that we should do that show. Well, how important is it? Well, let's call the guy right now at 1:45 a.m. in Colorado and let's schedule it and set it up. And sure enough, that's what we did. So that's why there was no pre-announcement on the previous podcast of us even going to that show. We tried to make as much fanfare as we could on Facebook about it. They provided us with branding and banners for the table. We had all the manufacturers on the stage. So it made for a very, very easy to do presentation, but there wasn't a lot of preliminary publicity about it. Had we known we were going to do that Saturday night, we would have announced it. We can announce on this Saturday night that we will be doing the show at Spring Creek the last week of June, where we're going to record the What's Neat This Week podcast from the Spring Creek show out there in Nebraska. I look forward to that. We're going to load up both trucks, as many people as we can and equipment in them. Let's split the gas and go do this, guys.
That's right.
Rock and roll. So
Come and see us in Nebraska.
it's going to be a lot of fun. Michelle's going to be out there. Chris Palomares is going to be out there. A lot of manufacturers are going to be out there because evidently this show is a pretty popular show with regards to the folks that really run the industry, and I look forward to doing that show. So that's coming up the last week of June. So that was a last-minute thing, and that's the beauty of this show. We can make last-minute decisions like that. We don't depend on a board. We depend on instinct and which way we think it might go. That's the best way to promote the best hobby in the world for all of us. And we think Spring Creek might be a great venue to do just that. Now, something else I want to talk about. I've gotten some electronic equipment here from Nick Santo. And Nick has been talking to me on the internet for many months. And I don't know, Daniel, if this is going to be any good. I might have to shoot B-roll of this. But what he has sent me is a very intuitive electronic device that fits in the place of the motherboard of your locomotive so that you can easily plug in a 21-pin decoder into this device, be able to run all the functions of all your lights at the same time, and yet it's got a separate plug on it so when you pull the shell off of your locomotive, you're not strung up with a bunch of wires while you're trying to figure out what you're trying to fix. The wires will come off clean with a simple plug, locomotive shell, all the lights. This includes the walkway lights, the ditch lights, the headlights, the emergency lights, and of course the safety lights above the trucks.
You know how many times I've had to fiddle with those and end up breaking wires and stuff trying to get that shell off?
Well,
It is.
it's been something that's been in all of our minds as we've tried to wire these projects, but Nick came up with a simple solution, a simple board that he designed on his computer at home, had it manufactured, and it now can replace the motherboard of your locomotive but still work with a 21-pin decoder, allow the separation of the shell from the mainframe, and still allow solder pads for all of the individual lighting effects, which might be the ditch lights, the headlights, the emergency lights, the walkway lights, and the courtesy lights above the trucks. As time has progressed, we've gone from the 8-pin plug, which has been the standard, now to the 21-pin plug, and there's even plans to go up higher in numbers for all the effects that we might want to have. But this thing comes with 0 to 6 as a positive leads that you can hook up to your various CV effects, but yet at the same time it's got 8 ground terminal return wire plugs where you can then wire up all your wires individually and still have the separate effects. So hats off to you, Nick Santo, for this. It took me a little while to figure out what it was that you were trying to describe to me, but Joe Fugate brought it home to me last night on the phone when he said, quite frankly, that this device is a masterpiece. It is brilliant. He said it was brilliant.
Next level.
I know. And it took a model railroader to do that for us, right, guys? So hats off to him. Check it out. I'm sure there's a website. I will put it in text underneath the screen so that you understand how to find this device. It's on his business card. And let's go back to Austin Allard to share some more Colorado, brother, because I know you couldn't have been done with that in 4 minutes.
No, so on Saturday night, after we left the train show, it was Ken, George Bogatuk, and I, Michelle, and the other gal that works for Soundtracks, and we all went up to John Parker's layout, which is the BNSF Fall River Division.
Yeah.
And George got to run his locomotives that he had just put the truck step lights in, and just looking at the layout, and he's got this night effect where he can turn the lights.
Blue
I don't know if
light.
it's a
No,
blue
man,
light
I
or what
love
it
to
is.
see that.
Rolling over that.
Yeah.
It was, and there was no detail missed. I mean, everything from LEDs on like the grain elevator to street lights and crossings, everything. It was perfect.
Wow.
It's literally what everybody aspires to have in their basement.
Yeah.
So thank you, John Parker, for letting us come over.
Right.
And another one was Rand Hood. That was pretty cool.
yeah.
Got to go to his house. And
Now, you're running in the May video. I just put it in there, Austin, where Rand Hood interviews you, and he really sort of gets into your head. And I warned you before the interview. It wasn't much a warning, as a kind of like just letting you know that you're about to get in an interview with somebody who's going to probably shape you similar to that of a shrink. If you sat down with your shrink and they started analyzing you,
Let me stop you right there, Ken.
I know this is going to be fun.
Because I think I've known Austin quite a bit longer than some of you guys, and Austin's been a double-track mainline kid ever since I can remember. If it didn't have double-track mainline, then he wouldn't have anything to do with it.
I remember just a couple months ago trying to talk Ken
Oh
into
yeah,
doing
I was so now finish with your story.
So after seeing John's layout and Rand, I got talking to Rand, and it's like just operability, like being able to run a single track main with sidings and have people go into sidings is a lot more fun than just a double track. It's opens up a lot more opportunities.
Sure, and there's more, stop and start and actual realism of an actual railroad.
And I think the signals would be a little more fun on that kind of layout.
I agree.
And upon our visit at Rand Hood's house, tell me about Karen's homemade chili, Austin.
It was fantastic.
It was awesome.
The hospitality there was literally incredible. They are the nicest people I've probably met. So
Absolutely amazing. We thank Rand Hood for being back into the hobby with us, and of course being on our side with the What's Neat This Week crew. I tell you what, Rand, I think we're going to make you part of the show as a regular. I haven't told you on the phone yet, but
Surprise!
it's coming.
We look
because
forward
you're
to
one
it.
of us, and there's so many stories he's got to talk about. So it'll add a lot more depth to the show.
Does he still have a layout?
No,
Currently,
he's
or-
building a new one. He's got a great
Okay.
brand new space to build it in. He's been out of the hobby for about 14 years.
Really?
But he does a lot of modeling in like one-to-one
Oh,
and
yeah.
at different museums, right?
Absolutely. He's big time into the museum planning. He's working with the Colorado Model Railroad Museum on their expansion plans for the 30,000 square foot facility that they're fixing to build, where they want more workspace to help promote the hobby, plus a few galleries that can be shifted out and changed over time. So it's a great plan, and he's just the right guy to do it.
his house was a museum, really. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
The house was incredible.
What was that story about him by chance running into your dad? And they started talking, and all your dad goes, "Well, Ken Patterson is my son."
I think Karen was sending out flyers, and they were cold calling back when they lived in Chicago back in the day, trying to create some accounts to develop their business. And they cold called on a gentleman named Ken Bird, who had worked for some technology company at the time. And the conversation went along where my Ken said to Rand, "Are you that model railroad guy
Yeah.
that's got all the toy train pictures?" And he's like, "Yes, that's me." He's like, "Do you know my son, Ken Patterson?" He's like, "Oh my God, yes, I know your son."
Wow.
We've been talking, we've been working together, we've been working off of each other to improve our techniques. He's
Yeah.
like, "How would you like to meet him?" And it all came down from there. Rand Hood came down to my house about 1994.
I remember that.
I
Yeah,
think
I
you
was
were here
there.
for that day,
Yeah.
Mike. It was a great day. Dave Davis was
was a
here.
blast.
We had the Midwest Valley Modelers back then, way before any of these new projects in model roading ever took place. And it was great to meet Rand Hood because he was
Right.
just as genuine back then as he is today.
Right.
And today he's humble, he's magnificent. You saw him at the Rocky Mountain Train Show as we did that podcast out there live. And it was just awesome to watch him and George Bogatuk bond and meet for the first time, because George really looked forward to his work and looked up to him. And it was great to see that happen while the cameras were running. It's the best hobby in the world, guys, and it's moments like that make it good and rich for all of us.
I agree.
That's awesome. How do I take it from there? I don't even know where to
I
go.
don't know if you can. I don't know
Can't
if you
top
can
that.
pass up.
I'm ready to go to Steak and Shake. Can we cut this one off?
I think we've talked about just about everything on the table.
You guys working on anything?
I did. I'll have to come over maybe for one of our old school photo sessions I do in your backyard. Can we have done with those? But I finished. It's about 95% done. That Arrowhead Committee coal hopper that I brought it, but it'll be better seen outdoors doing my photography and stuff. And then also Mike and I were talking to Blaine Hadfield. Basically, just announced. It's formal, I guess, or official, but nothing. But he is going to do an ACF 4600 3-bay covered hopper, just like the one that AccuRail's done for the last 25 years.
Oh.
Well, the AccuRail car, but anyways, he's going to do it. He was, and if you read it, he said it himself, but he was so far along in the project wanting to do that car, and then he stopped for a minute, wasn't going to do it, but then he recently announced, I'm going to do it too.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that car. So
there's so many variations of that car.
Yeah, there's so many paint schemes, repaints, but I know probably most everyone here, Blaine, do Missouri Pacific in your first run.
Yes, please.
There'll be some. I know you hear it all the time, but I'll buy multiple cars.
Oh,
so we'll
too.
probably Mopac if you do it.
Right.
That's awesome, guys. We got a lot of stuff coming up in the schedule. Like I said, the last week of June, we're going to be at Spring Creek. 2 weeks after that, we have the NMRA National, which is going to be a big deal. I hope to pull off 18 interviews at that show and fly back home. And then we've got the Prototype Modelers Meet here in St. Louis, which should be a very big draw.
26,
So we're going to have shows back to back every 2 weeks. We're going to have plenty of live guests, a lot of manufacturers, and a whole bunch of new products to announce. And I look forward to this year. This is going to be a great year, guys.
Where is NMRA this year?
NMRA is in Salt Lake City, Utah. Is that right?
Wow. And then in 20, it's in St. Louis?
2020
is in
Louis.
St. Louis.
Right.
I'm meeting with the gentleman next Tuesday for lunch around 1 o'clock. And we are making some plans for that, where I want to have the What's Neat This Week podcast be a very important part in helping promote the hobby for the 2020 show.
Awesome.
When I go to Salt Lake City, I'm providing interviews for What's Neat. When we come to St. Louis, we want to do a live show every single day of that show. During the show, promote all the new products and bring as many new people into the hobby as we can through workshops and other things that I'm setting up with the various manufacturers. Plan on this to be something big because it's in our own backyard. It's something I've got more control of. I don't have to worry about renting a bunch of trucks and transporting equipment. We're only 18 minutes away from our studio to the main stage of the show. So that, therefore, it should be a lot easier to promote the hobby in ways that I think might be new and kind of exciting.
And Sugar Fire is only a 4-minute walk from the
you go.
convention
Sugar
during
Fire is a
2020.
4-minute walk.
And we will be giving away some giveaways and some other stuff for that weekend for the NMRA.
And
So,
by then, we're going to have a train running in the restaurant.
Well,
won't
let's
we?
cross our fingers.
We're working
but
on
we're
that
working on
project
that
right
real
now.
hard.
We're looking at insurance and all the other things that come into play with that.
That's right.
You don't want an LGB engine hitting somebody in the head. That would be bad.
That would be very bad.
So with that, guys, what do you think? We might be coming to an end on this. I really appreciate the fact that we've got Red running camera for us.
Hi,
Daniel.
Daniel.
Coons. Hey, Daniel. Yeah, come on around here. The
get
folks
the show
know
done.
Daniel's here. We're broadcasting live from the living room up here in the house on the Mississippi River because we just thought it would be different to use the portable sound equipment, kind of do something a little different with the ambience of the fireplace and Pia flying around.
Yeah.
P, you got anything to add? All right, fine.
Let's go outside and run some trains.
You know what? We picked up some equipment to do just that. The temperature's awesome outside,
It
guys.
is.
What do you say? Let's all take it outside.
Bonfire and trains.
Let's go run some trains, guys. That ends this
See you
show.
later, guys.
Number, what is it?
69.
69. Austin Allard, thank you very much, brother.
See you guys later.
See you guys.
See ya.